for taking the time this afternoon to join us for Market Eyes Meet the CEO series. Delighted to have Kobe Hannock here with us today, CEO of Weebit Nano. The company put out their Q1 FY22 quarterly update today and cash flow statement. It's been a super productive quarter, probably the most successful since Weebit's been listed. So very excited today to have Kobe here to update everyone on the developments over the last quarter in particular, and then also a little on the outlook going forward. So just a reminder to everyone, Kobe will do a small presentation, then we'll open up the lines for Q&A. If you do have a question to ask, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, type in the question, and then I can put it to Kobe. So Kobe, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon. So let me share the screen here. And welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us. Yes, as Eric said, this was quite clearly the most successful quarter we ever had. I guess the combination of both business and technical milestones were really great. This is part of the result of the good raises we did last year, which enabled us to strengthen the team and really push forward on a lot of R&D and business side. Clearly the most important thing that happened was our agreement with SkyWater. SkyWater is really a great partner for us. They are now licensing our ReRAM technology, and we started working very intensively with them to transfer the technology to their fab. So we'll be transferring it now and then entering the qualification phase, where during the qualification phase, we'll be running a lot of wafers through the line, just testing everything, making sure that we get good results on many wafers, many dies on the wafers, and so on, that everything is ready for mass production. In parallel to that, we announced the 28 nanometer technology, the results that we had, and we've been continuing with Leti. And we've had continued work, continuing to register patents and working with existing customers. So really, as I mentioned, SkyWater is a great partner, and this license agreement kind of breaks what Daddy always says, that magic triangle, that there's Weebit who licenses technology, there's a customer that needs to embed the technology into their design, and then we need a fab that will fabricate it. And for a very long time, we were stuck in this infinite loop. The customers were saying, great technology, but where are we going to manufacture? The fabs were saying, great technologies, but who are the customers? So SkyWater came in, they saw the potential here, they saw the potential of leaping forward ahead of their competition with this technology. And it's really great cooperation. We're aiming to finish the qualification by the end of the year, or achieve qualification by the end of next year. We're also cooperating, obviously, on sales and marketing activities. We're already talking to SkyWater customers. We're really making good progress on multiple fronts. And so this, and just to clarify, again, this is for the embedded space. Our big focus right now is to make absolutely sure that SkyWater is a success, that we get customers on board there, and the customers will be paying license fees. We're expecting to engage with customers already next year and start seeing those license agreements. And then obviously when they hit mass production, we'll be getting the royalties from the customers. So that's really the news with SkyWater. A lot of hard work going on now. In parallel, and I think the The investors that have been with us for a while know that in the past we were going to put an emphasis on moving to 28 nanometers earlier. We had that on hold for a while, but then when we did the raises last year, that enabled us to really push forward again. 28 nanometers is really a very important node. It's probably the most popular, or actually one of the two most popular nodes in the industry. 130, what we're doing with SkyWater, and 28 are probably the two most popular nodes. So we're now covering both of those. 28 is kind of the opening to the smaller geometries. It's really the turning point on that scale of geometries, where once you achieve that, then you're really ready to go down to the smaller geometries, and we're already looking at how we go down to there. I want to remind everyone, flash can't, embedded flash can't scale down below 40 nanometers. You know, some people are trying to push it to 28, but it's not really economical. So we are now entering that void space where there's really very little in terms of non-volatile memory offering, and people obviously need it. So today people are just jumping through hoops to get non-volatile memory kind of in their system. And I think this is really a great progress. We have good results here. We'll be preparing this to transfer this also to manufacturing. 28 nanometers is already more advanced. We're talking to the more advanced, the bigger fabs. I'll remind everyone that the agreement with SkyWater is non-exclusive, and we are talking all the time with other fabs and looking at moving forward to licensing to other fabs, both the 130 nanometer technology and now the 28 nanometer. So this is really very, very exciting, and I'm really proud of the team for achieving it so fast. During this period, we also expanded the cooperation with Leti. They're really an amazing partner. I'm so happy we chose them, and we're also licensing some more of their technology. You know, Leti has been researching memory technology for more than 10 years. They have a really, really strong memory team there that's working on many different types of memory technology. And when we see something that is really good, that can help our technology and push it forward, we cooperate on that. So again, another important step forward. And with the additional technology that we have, we improved the endurance, the retention, especially the high temperature retention, which is, again, really important in automotive. That's a very hot domain today. And last but not least, you know, when we look forward, there's really a lot of work with SkyWater. The qualification is obviously the key activity that we're focused on. We'll be, you know, in about a month, we should be getting the test chips that we taped out in our summer in July, and we'll be testing them. That's going to be a very important step forward. Those test chips, once we test them, we'll be packaging them, and I mean what's called slice and dice, and cutting out the dies from the wafers and then packaging them so that we can use them as demonstration vehicles for potential customers. We have a lot of activity right now with customers. People saw the announcement on SkyWater, and we're getting phone calls, we're getting emails, we're talking to people. already looking at participating in specific projects. So this is really very exciting, and over the next year, even though we're not qualified yet, we can see customers are interested and willing to engage in products and projects. So it's very, very exciting, and I'm sure we'll have a very, very busy year ahead of us. We already have. So that's really my summary, and we had a great quarter, and maybe this is a good place to open it up for questions.
Great, thanks, Kobe. Nice summary. So just a reminder to everyone on the call, if you want to ask a question, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. There are a number of questions already there. Kobe, I had one to kick things off, and you pretty much covered it just there in your summary around just what SkyWater's done in terms of creating interest from other potential customers and potential production partners. You obviously said that you are seeing more interest coming through. Is that more customers, or is it also production partners also?
It's actually in all directions. We've been talking to customers for a long time, and we've been talking to multiple fabs for a long time. So now, as soon as we announced SkyWater, obviously some of those customers have moved forward. They've already contacted SkyWater and are looking at what it takes to move their manufacturing to SkyWater, which is, really that's kind of what SkyWater's interest is. I can tell you I had a very interesting call from another fab who called me up and said, hey, what's going on? We found out that one of our customers is moving to SkyWater or talking to SkyWater. What's happening here? What are you guys doing to us? So, well, you guys didn't move fast enough. You told us that you're busy and manufacturing. So anyway, we are talking to other fabs. They are aware of what's going on, and when you have an agreement like this with SkyWater, it triggers the interest of the other fabs and opens more doors. And obviously, with customers, we've had customers that saw the announcement and contacted us. Customers of SkyWater that contacted us, even asking for a quotation already. So I mean, it's very exciting times now. And things are starting to move forward very rapidly. Great.
Lots of questions coming through now, and one that's I think on everyone's mind is when can we expect Weebit to sign the first customer? What's your view on that? I'm sure you're trying to do it tomorrow or even yesterday. And what's your view on that?
Well, it should be clear. Customers, their projects are very complex, and when they commit to put a new technology in it, in their projects, they're really, basically, committing that technology. If that technology, for whatever reason, has an issue, it's a big risk on their side, because that project might not get out to market. So they're very cautious. They're very they like to test it and verify and know that everything is okay. That's one of the reasons why you do qualification, because once you do qualification, they know that a massive number of wafers went through the fab and were tested and everything's okay, and then they feel much more comfortable. So customers, the average customer normally likes to wait until you're qualified, but there's always the customers that want to move forward, that are more aggressive, that want to get that added advantage over their competition. And they look at Weebit, they say, we know this company, we can see the management team and the board and so on. We know these guys know how to deliver a product to the market. There's really no risk. It's just a matter of them going through the motions and getting the qualification done. So with those guys, we are making progress. It needs to be clear, when a customer engages with us, they need to license the technology, and then it takes them about a year or a year and a half to design their product with our memory in it. And only then can they actually go to mass production. So they do the math and they say, well, Weebit will be doing the qualification and getting qualified by the end of next year. So if we engage now, it's good timing. By the time we get to mass production, Weebit will be in the right place. So we are having very good discussions with those kinds of customers, or potential customers, I should always say, right? But it's very exciting, very interesting, and next year, as I said, I'm quite confident we'll see the initial customer agreements.
Great, thanks, Kobe. And on the other hand, so you've got customers, and then on the other hand, fabs or production partners. There's a few questions coming through on that about, when could you expect to sign up with another fab? And I guess, are you looking at tier 1 or tier 2 fabs? And how much of a priority do you see signing on another fab versus, customers?
So as I mentioned, the agreement with SkyWater is non-exclusive, and we are talking to additional fabs, and we will move. For me right now, the big focus is I want to make absolutely sure that SkyWater is a success. It's very easy to start spreading out on many activities, and then you lose the focus on the important thing. We already have an agreement with SkyWater. We're moving forward with them. So I want to make absolutely sure that we're qualified, that we don't have any surprises or anything, and that we get the customers on board for SkyWater and move forward with them. And that's the shortest path to revenue, and that's what I'm focused on. Having said that, we are working with other fabs. There is interest, and there's interest both in the 130 or 90 or different geometries in the larger scale. And now that we announced the 28 nanometer, there's clearly interest by the more advanced, the bigger fabs. And we are talking to those guys, and so there will be progress. We want to get that 28 nanometer also out to a production facility and even go down to smaller geometries. And
just one more on the fabs, Kobe, and you obviously talked about the deal with SkyWater being non-exclusive. A question's just come through saying, while not being exclusive makes a lot of sense, can it prove to be a negative in terms of attracting larger fabs in the long term?
No. It's I think all of the IP agreements that I'm aware of in our industry are non-exclusive. When you're talking about agreements between IP companies and fabs, they're always non-exclusive. As far as I know, I've never seen an exclusive one. And the reason is, obviously, you want to be open to the mass market. You don't want to limit yourself only to the customers that are manufacturing at SkyWater. You want to go out and eventually have any customer who's manufacturing in any fab be able to use your technology. So this is very common. The fact that it's non-exclusive, it's not anything special about our agreement with SkyWater. And yeah, that's not an issue for anyone.
Great. A couple of questions just around the qualification and SkyWater. Is there any updates you can provide so far on the qualification process? Has there been any feedback, positive or negative? And then just a broader question around the industry and whether the shortage of chips is creating any hindrance for the qualification process.
So to answer the first part, we're working very intensively now with SkyWater. We set up the teams, the working teams at all levels, the engineers that are actually doing the work, the project management, the executive management. We have very good communication at all levels. And the work is progressing very nicely. So we're transferring the technology, and we plan to start the qualification as soon as we get everything up and running. It's in semiconductors, you always have small hiccups. You always have some little challenges. You find out this little thing doesn't work or that little thing. The good news is we're standard materials, we're standard tools. There's nothing really special in that sense about Weebit. You know, the secret sauce is what's really the important side. But in terms of challenges, and as of today, the challenges are not big, and then we're moving according to plan, so things are looking very well. In terms of the chip shortage, we're not feeling it at all. I mean, you know, we're working with the fab. They have the wafers running through, and we're very happy that you know, they can allocate wafers to our work and have their team work with us. So I'm not expecting to have any issues because of the chip shortage for Weebit.
Great, thanks, Kobe. Nice questions come through here. On a personal level for you, Kobe, what is the potential application of Weebit's technology that really excites you?
Well, there's so many amazing things out there today. It's really crazy. You know, you just every day I open the newspaper and I see, especially here in Israel, I mean, every day you see more new startups with amazing applications. So it's just exciting to know that our ReRAM is actually applicable to everyone, and that's really a key element. In the short term, and at SkyWater, when you look at their types of customers and the customers that they're aiming at, the really, you know, lowest hanging fruits right now are the analog guys. So we're talking about power management, and power management is a very, very important domain. It's a very fast growing domain. When I'm talking about power management, it's all of these chargers today. I mean, chargers are part of power management, right? Everything is becoming mobile. You need to charge your cell phone, your laptop, et cetera, et cetera. You have the wireless chargers now in the cars. So all of these things, Weebit's technology is just a really perfect fit for them. And that's kind of one kind of customers that we're talking to, and we're talking to multiple companies in this domain. Another kind is the different sensors. You know, if you think about it today, an average car already has something like 200 chips in it, and practically all of them need non-volatile memory, right? I mean, basically all of them do. Many of those are sensors today, you know, the lane sensors, the distance from the car in front of you and all of that. Those are all sensors. Again, our technology today at 130 with SkyWater is a perfect fit for those guys. SkyWater has different types of, you know, the Department of Defense is a big customer of theirs. They have all kinds of projects there that I can't even know anything about, but they have a lot of a significant need. And then, you know, with the whole domain of IoT and cloud and automotive, those are domains that that I think are very good for us, that SkyWater is pushing into. So yeah, it's a very exciting domain to be in nowadays.
Great. Thanks, Kobe. A few questions coming through around the specifics of the SkyWater deal, around royalties and milestone payments, particularly in regards to the qualification process. To the extent that you can shed any color on that, that's publicly available. Yeah, is there any comments you can make on that?
So, you know, when we made the announcement, we announced that they signed a licensing deal, and they will be paying us a license fee based on some milestones that we achieved with them. So that's, I think that's what I can say right now. The details are confidential. I think everyone can understand that if we'll announce what the specific details are, all of the other fabs will also know it, and it'll just put a cap on what we can ask other fabs. And I'm expecting to be more aggressive as we prove the technology. So I wouldn't want to get anyone to think of the terms that we gave SkyWater as the maximum we'll ever give.
Great. Just in terms of potentially signing up with another fab, questions just come through around does Weebit have the resources to be able to manage multiple fab partnerships and then obviously customer agreements too?
Well, we'll need to hire a few more people for that. We're hiring, by the way. Weebit has been hiring over this year. Again, the two raises that we did last year enabled us to really move forward faster. So we have hired additional people. Really an amazing team. I mean, we announced the 3 VPs that we hired in the past year. Each and every one of them is, as far as I'm concerned, the top in his domain in Israel, #1 in his domain in Israel. And that has made a huge impact on the company. And I think, I want to emphasize this point. When investors, when high-tech investors invest in startups, one of the most critical things, or I would say the most critical thing for them, is looking at the management team. I've never seen a startup that hasn't had major issues on its way, that hasn't hit hurdles, technical, business, whatever. I mean, that's a standard part of a startup's life. The key thing is to have the team that no matter what you hit, that team can overcome them. That team can find the solutions, can find the ways around them and move forward. And Weebit always had an amazing board, and I'm extremely proud of the board, and they gave us amazing directives. Now we have a management team of very, very experienced people that are just, really very, very knowledgeable, very experienced. Each one of them, I think the average is close to 30 years experience in their domain. These guys know what they're doing. And even when you hit all kinds of hiccups and obstacles along the way, that you'll find a way around them and you'll move forward. And we've had already during this year, we've had all kinds of hiccups and we just bypassed them and kept going forward. So we have an amazing team. We're growing it. If we have, when we have the next fab, we'll just be expanding it. You don't need a lot of people for that. And we have help from Leti also.
I think you've pretty much covered that, talking about the caliber of the team, but it was a question coming through around if there's any key man risk with Dadi being involved.
Dadi's amazing. He's really a great help. But at the end of the day, the people that are really doing the work day in, day out are the team. So, we're working. I have, as I said, an amazing management team. Sometimes I just find myself in a management meeting, suddenly leaning back, and relaxing and saying, I just can't believe I have this team. It's just, I can't believe I have this team and look at the dynamics. I mean, they're cooperating so well together and working together and everything. So, we have this team. If in the early days, it was basically Dadi, Amir, and me, and that was the whole team. And Dadi was, a very critical element. Today, we have a big team, and Dadi can fill in the role of the chairman. Obviously, I talk to him at least once a week, most likely more often than that. We update, we consult and everything. So he's always there. Hey, he's the largest shareholder of Weebit today. I don't know if people realize it, but he's the largest shareholder, as far as I know, on the market, on the registry when you look at it. he has a lot of shares, and he's very focused on Weebit, and you know, clearly wants its success and is helping us a lot. Yeah, today, you know, for a personal reason, he couldn't be here with me, but I don't think if anyone is trying to take that as a sign of anything, you know, it's people also have a personal life, and it didn't work for him today. So apologize for him.
Right. Maybe not one you don't have to answer, but I'd like to acknowledge it because I thought it was quite humorous, asking if we are going to the moon with Elon Musk. So hopefully we'll see some Weebit technology involved there. Quite a few questions coming through though, Cody.
We'll end up going beyond the moon, you know, just give us some time.
We'll hold you to that. A few questions coming through on XTX and CN, and whether there's still dialogue there, and in particular, one participant just raised something about CN having recently commissioned an 8-inch fab, or is about to, and so yeah, just, you know, are we continuing discussions with those groups?
We're continuing communication. You know, we have exchanges with them. Obviously now with SkyWater, my big focus is on SkyWater. I think with CN, they you know, they had their delays because of COVID and ramping up and so on. So I think when we realized that and when we engaged with SkyWater, it was pretty clear that right now SkyWater is really the best partner for us. So at this point, yes, you know, we're still in touch with them, and you know, I don't rule out ramping up the activity once we get to more advanced milestones. But right now, my big focus is I just want to make SkyWater successful. We really need to make this qualification successful and get the technology out and get the customers manufacturing at SkyWater.
Okay. A couple of questions just coming through about the chips and when they'll be available. And are these being developed purely at SkyWater, or are they also being developed at Leti as well? Is that they running in parallel? Just where that's happening and where it's at.
So we announced, I think it was in July, that we taped out the test chip, and the test chip should be coming back to us. We should be receiving the wafers something like a month from now, order of magnitude, maybe 6 weeks. So we're waiting to get those wafers. When we get them, we'll go into intensive testing. Obviously, it'll also be the holiday season, and you know, it'll be, but we'll be going into intensive testing of the wafers. Once we have the results from these wafers on the test chips, we'll be what's called slice and dice and breaking them down into the specific die, and then we take those die and we package them, and we'll do testing on the tested chips, and then, you know, those will be used also to demonstrate to customers. So they'll be used internally to continue testing and working on that, and also with customers. In parallel, we're obviously, when we're transferring the technology to SkyWater, we're not just transferring the array technology, we're transferring the module, we're transferring the test chip. The SkyWater customers will also want to see the test chips and so on running, you know, qualified there. So we're transferring it, and they will be part of the qualification process.
Great. A few questions coming through just around scaling down. So obviously you achieved 28 nanometer. TSMC have mentioned that they are looking to expand their 7 nanometer fab. So what's Weebit and Leti's view on scaling down beyond 28 nanometer?
So again, 28 was really a huge success for me. That was like an amazing milestone. One of the, probably, I don't know if to say the most important milestone that we've achieved, but clearly it's a very important milestone. And From here, we need to, you need to always maintain some level of focus and not just spread out over all of the opportunities that you have. So I want to make this 28 nanometer clean, ready, stable, so that I can take it to a production fab. We'll be working on that. We'll be engaging with the production fab. We are, with Leti, we are looking already at going down to smaller geometries. There are talks with fabs about smaller geometries. So, that is continuing, and we're trying to decide, in terms of when we go to manufacturing, how and what we'll be doing. But this is something that that is work in progress. It's a big investment with Leti.
Okay. Just to let everyone know, we've got about 8 minutes, or actually 7 minutes left. We've got a hard finish at 3:45 AED time. There's lots of questions here. We'll do our best to get through them, but if we can't get through them all, please feel free to email me. My contact email is on the quarterly release that went out today. Kobe, a couple of questions, just a bit more broader around sort of the memory technology scene. The question's coming, do you see ReRAM potentially completely replacing flash, or is there still a place for flash going forward? And then also, what's your view on MRAM and that as an emerging technology, and any sort of competitive risk there with regards to MRAM?
So in terms of flash, the big fabs have been investing billions and billions and billions of dollars into improving the flash technology. I think that in the embedded space, we'll see ReRAM replacing more and more flash in the near future. First of all, as I said, below 40 nanometers, it's not a big deal because there's just no flash. But even in the larger geometries, we are so much simpler to manufacture, cheaper to manufacture. So I think as soon as we get into mass production and start expanding to additional fabs, you'll see the impact of that. And to clarify, again, without diving into technical details, but our ReRAM is really very simple technology to manufacture in terms of the technicalities of it. It's just 2 added masks at back end of line on the top of the design. After the design is done, the manufacturing is done. It's really a very easy thing to manufacture. When you look at flash is a front end of line technology. It comes right next to the design at the very lowest level of the manufacturing. They require many more masks, many more layers in the manufacturing process. So I think it will be very tempting for people to move to ReRAM in the embedded space in the near future. In semiconductors means over the next few years, but we'll see that happening. In the discrete side, we still have work, as you know, and we'll be improving our selector technology, and that's going to take longer, but eventually, the ReRAM technology is more advanced. In terms of MRAM, I always, as soon as I talk about MRAM, I remember the first time I talked to Yoav about MRAM. Yoav, our director, who was CEO of Tower for 10 years and knows the fab business inside and out. When I talked to him about it, he said, "Magnetic? Are you crazy? That's like putting an atomic bomb into the fab." So magnetic technology, they are ahead of us. And for me, the fact that they are already selling, started mass production selling, is a great indication, because it just shows how desperate the market is for new technologies. Because MRAM, I say that we're two masks and just a few layers in the manufacturing. You should see their stack. I mean, it's just unbelievable how many layers and masks, and we add about 5% to the cost of a wafer. Flash is more like, I would say between 10 or 15% and 20%, in that range. MRAM, you're talking the cost, the added cost of MRAM on a wafer can go up to 40 or even 50% of the wafer cost. It's much more complex to manufacture. You have to take so much care in avoiding contamination. You don't want that magnetic material to impact anything on the production line. That's a huge contaminant. It's an atomic bomb. So again, as soon as we hit mass production, I think many of the places where people are considering MRAM, that will change. And I'm already seeing it. I've already been contacted with by customers that were thinking of MRAM and now are looking at our ReRAM.
And so just to round out that conversation on the competitive landscape, are you aware of any upcoming ReRAM competitors? One listener's made a comment about Dialog license. It's a Desto 22 or 28 nanometer RAM to global foundries. Is that a competitive product? And yeah, are there any other ReRAM competitors you're seeing out there?
Well, I guess the first thing I'll say, Dialog doesn't exist anymore. So it's already Renesas. Desto was acquired by Dialog. And by the way, Dialog acquired them because of their IoT technology, not because of their ReRAM technology. And then Renesas acquired Dialog, and clearly Renesas didn't acquire them because of the ReRAM. They wanted all of the IoT and other bigger stuff. The Dialog is a big company that does a lot of stuff, and Renesas acquired them, because of that thing. So the bottom line is they did do an agreement with Global Foundries. We don't know where that stands right now, and it's not clear where that will go with Renesas. And it's kind of from knowing Renesas, it's hard for me to see them focusing on this, but I don't know. I mean, we'll need to see. The good news is we hired Ishai Nave, who's one of the founders of Adesto, as our CTO. That's been our benefit from all of these acquisitions that were going on. We really benefited and got an amazing guy. And the fact that Dialog did that agreement with Global doesn't exclude Weebit from working with Global. And I think that when Global looks at things, they can also see where the focus on ReRAM is. So, I mean, I don't want to talk about things that are not there yet, but I think Weebit is still in a very strong position with the big fabs.
Right. All right, one last question, Kobe. We haven't really covered off discrete all that much, and there's been a bunch of questions coming through on it. If you could maybe just give a quick update on where things are at and where you see the opportunity for Weebit in that space, and also does the 28 nanometer scaling down to that level have any bearing at all on the developments on the discrete side of things? So maybe just an overview on that market.
So discrete, the key thing about discrete is you need to really squeeze as much memory as you can on a piece of silicon. I mean, it's all about capacity that you manage to put in a single chip. So that's why we're working on a different selector and trying to find the selector that will enable us to shrink the cell size as much as we can. That's obviously 28 nanometer is a great help in that sense. And, as we go down to the smaller geometries, that will enable us to shrink things more and more. So I think that we're continuing to work on it. I think all along we made it clear this is a big project. It's a very difficult project. We announced that we integrated our ReRAM cell with the selector, and we had good results there. The team is working now to grow it into small arrays and bigger arrays and bigger arrays. It's going to take time, but obviously that's a very important part in our roadmap and in the future of Weebit. So there's a lot of work going on in that.
Great. All right. Very conscious of time. I do apologise to those questions that came through that we weren't able to get to. As I said, please feel free to email those through to me. eric.corrett@marketeye.com.au. Thank you to everyone for joining, for your time this afternoon, for your questions. Kobe, thank you to you. Very exciting quarter indeed, and obviously very exciting outlook. So good luck for this next quarter and beyond, and thank you everyone. I'll hand over to you, to Kobe, to close it out.
Well, thanks everyone. I really appreciate the support that we're getting from our shareholders, and always glad to share information. Have a good afternoon.
Thanks everyone.